Alright, what's up everybody? Today we're doing another puzzle video. We're going to go for half an hour. I think I'm sitting at around 28:30 right now. So the goal is going to be to push to 28:50. And if we manage to get higher than that, then that'd be perfect. So let's just jump right into it. Alright, we're at 28:32. So immediate first move that comes to mind is knight h6. King has to drop back to h8, but I'm not 100% sure what my follow-up is there. Coming back doesn't really do much. So now the question is there a better check? Anything like knight e5 doesn't seem to work. Bishop's not really hanging because rook takes queen at the end. Because I have the check, but my queen is going to be hanging if I move that knight. So now I'm looking at knight g5. Knight g5. I think king h8 is still going to be the move. I don't think I really have time for something like queen h5. Just because queen's here, rook's going to come in. It feels like I'm probably getting checkmated. Anything I'm missing on knight h6? Knight h6 here. Queen sack doesn't seem to do anything. So I could always castle, because I kind of like my position as it is. Although I am down a piece. What about queen h5 first? Queen h5, probably just check. King up. I'm maybe getting to run a little bit, but not really much. King h5, rook. Yeah, I'm just getting mated there. Okay, so it's got to be forcing or somehow prevent this. Because on rook e8, if I don't do anything, rook e8, king has to go here, and queen c1, queen b1 are both force mate. So what else do I have? What else do I have? Are any of the other discoveries better? It's really not seeming like it. Here, here. Okay, so knight here, king h8. I think this is it. This is what I was missing. That took me far too long. Knight e5, king h8, queen, or no, excuse me. Knight e5, king h8, knight g6 check. King can't go back to g8, so only option is to take. Oh man, and then that feels like it should be so close. But the issue is the pawn covers this square. Bishop covers this square. And those are my only options to get to that H file. I don't like giving him the option to force. Like it seems like it's really got to be forcing moves. But there's not a great way to get around that. So knight e5, king h8. Knight g6 takes. What am I missing there? I got nothing. Do I castle at that point? Am I able to castle? Knight h6 doesn't really do anything for me. I don't have something like knight g5 and then takes here. Because then I still run into the same scenario with check. Or just lose my queen. I see all of the checks and I thought this was going to be an easy one, but it's really throwing me for a loop right now. Knight h6, king h8. I have nothing else there. All right, I'm going to try to start rolling out moves with the knight. Knight d8 does nothing. It does kind of block the rook from coming over. Oh. First move I went to roll out might be the move. Knight h8. Because it cuts off the rook. Knight h8. King is in check. If you block with the bishop, I just take. If you block with the rook, so here, on knight h8, rook here, takes, and then on knight h8, only other option is king, and then I win. That's, yeah. Here, bishop takes, or bishop check. Yeah. Man. We got there. It took me a while, but we got there. All right, in games. To me, I think these are the hardest, but they are also my absolute favorite. So I think the issue here is if it's just something simple like takes. You can do the calculation, but although I do get a queen, black gets queen with check. And I don't want to give him queen with check. So the thought is maybe, my king is technically in time to stop this pawn if I want to. So maybe it's takes, if I take, push, king d4, king takes, and then we just keep pushing. And the idea is that that's got to be, so it's definitely takes. I don't need to calculate that one. Now I think here the issue is if I push again and black pushes, I'm not in time to stop it. And if I don't stop that pawn or waste time moving my king, which means that black queen's first, then I think I'm losing anyways. So my thought here is that king d4 is the right move. Note if I go anywhere else, my king is not in time to stop it. So we've got to take the direct path. Let's calculate this one more time. King d4, black takes the pawn, push, b6, a3, king c3, and that's got to be winning. Because then if black does something like move the king out of the way to take the time to push this pawn, I'm in time. Yeah, that was a good one. I enjoy those. All right, yeah, and so then just to prove that point again, here I take, then if king moves out of the way, it's going to take far too long for him to push that pawn. I'm going to get the queen. And once I get the queen, his pawn's not even going to be on the second rank, and at that point it's game over. I can just work the queen back in. All right, next puzzle, 2 in a row. It's a pretty good start. Okay, is there a way to trap the queen is my first thought. I don't think so. I'm not seeing a good one immediately. On push, queen just back to here. If I do something like this, queen can drop back. So on that note, h5 first. think the queen is trapped. I don't want to move the knight because it covers some important squares. So the reason that g6 doesn't work is that the king can run, or queen can run to g5. h5 covers that square. So by playing h5, we're taking away all of the queen's escape squares. So on h5, the queen is stuck. Queen can't take h5 because of the knight. And if the queen, or if white tries to do something like kick the knight out, we play g6 first. Knight covers it, takes, I take. And at that point, the queen is trapped. Is there anything better I should be looking at? I mean, the rest of black's pieces are kind of trapped at the moment. So there's not much they can do. I don't really get anything by taking the bishop. So right now I'm just trying to find some reason that h5 wouldn't work. But I don't see a way that white can create any more escape squares for the queen. Or prevent g6. I don't see it. I think I'm going to go for h5. I'm not seeing a good response. Knight there. I'll pause for a second. I don't think that does anything. Still g6. Yeah. And then white has to sack for the knight. 28:48. Wow, it's going to be a quick video, huh? Okay. Lots of moves on this one. I don't think I want to take. Give white the check. Moving seems slow. There is a move like rook d8, which is tempting. Because on rook d8, the queen doesn't have any checks. No way to cover the back rank. But I guess I'm not quite forcing checkmate. So my thought was that on rook d8, let's say the queen does something like just backs off. Then I have rook d1 check. And then on king h2, queen h4 is mate. But on rook d8, what is my response to queen g3? Because then I can still play the check, but all of a sudden the queen covers h4, and on h6 you just go queen h3. And it's covered by the pawn, so I don't have any like rook sacrifice. On the back rank, let me pause real quick. I'm gonna go turn my AC off. Try to keep it quiet in here with the fan. Okay. So I don't think I see any benefit to queen c1 check. King just runs and I'm out of checks at that point. Okay, so if I don't like that, then let's look at queen h4 check first. King goes to g1. And okay. And then maybe we go rook d8. So queen h4, king g1, rook d8. Because the rook is still covered by the queen. So we've got white king here, black queen, rook d8. Queen has no checks, which is important. There's no intermediate move. And the thread is that rook d1 is mate. Black has no way to cover rook d1 other than just a sack. So I'm thinking that's the winning idea. Queen h4, king g1, rook d8. The only way that I see that black or white could block it is either queen f4 or queen a6. Both just to, but that's still just sacrificing the queen for the rook. Because on queen h4, king g1, rook d8, queen f4, rook d1, the queen just blocks, and we take. I don't see a good response to that. Are there any rook sacks here? Like this? It is probably somewhat important to note that there could be some rook sacks like on h6, but I think I'm avoiding perpetual there. I think we're going to go for it. Okay, that's not a move I had considered, but I think here we just take the queen. And then if takes, I win the rook as well. I didn't consider this. I probably should have, but I don't think it changes. Here, here, here. Seems fine. Seems like I'm just winning the rook as well at that point. Takes, takes, and that's fine. Yeah. So he actually did play the check, and I think it's important that I don't go h7, because then I'm probably not stopping that in time. But if I go here and he takes, I'm in time. So, wow. This does get in depth. So here it's just check. Yeah. Huh. I did not calculate that fully, but I did have the right idea there. Already above 2850. Honestly, I'm not even sure what time I started, but we'll keep going for a little bit longer, maybe another 10 or 15 minutes. Got to 2850, 3000 rated puzzle, so that's pretty good. We'll take that. Next, are there any sacrifices? I don't think so. Try to look at the forcing moves first here. Check takes. So I can't push both pawns. And I'm starting to think that that might be what I'm going for here. I'm not sure if the order is going to matter a ton. But I'm sure it matters, at least in some regard. All right, so push the pawn, en passant, takes on h6. Push this pawn, king has to go to g5. At that point, g6 is undefended, but we have rook g3. Am I just mating at that point? h5 takes f5, king g5, rook. So here we've got pawns here. White king is here, white pawn is here. That is not mate because of here. Okay, so I'm thinking this is where the order comes in handy. Now I'm thinking it's f5 first. f5 takes, en passant, h5, king g5, rook g3. King can no longer run to f6 because its pawn's there, so white now has to run to h6, and then bishop f4. And I think that's mate. And you don't have bishop f4 unless you start with f5, because if you start with h5, the king is on f6, not h6. And there's no check like this because rook just takes. So let's do that one more time. Trying to draw the arrows here. f5, en passant on f6, h5 check, king g5, rook g3, king h6, bishop takes f4. And it's all checks. So white doesn't have time, I don't think, for any sacrifices. I think that's it. We're going to go for it. Takes. Here. 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 Yep. That was a good one. Keep it going. 7 in a row. Okay, this actually isn't quite it, but looks like a position I've played against before. So maybe this is a good one to learn. What is my tactic here? That doesn't seem like anything. That also doesn't seem like anything. Is there a sacrifice on f7? I don't think there is either. This is interesting. I feel like most of our moves so far have been pretty forcing, or most of the puzzles have had pretty forcing solutions, and this one seems a bit more ambiguous. I don't think pawn takes it, queen takes, push. I don't think I'm gaining much there. Maybe pawn takes, queen takes. No, I never have f4 because it hits the king. This one is quite challenging so far. I don't think there's any way to punish black after sacking the knight. This feels like one that I'm going to see the solution and be ticked at not finding it. Or maybe just finding it sooner. I don't think there's anything to gain from b4. Knight a4, bishop just drops back anywhere it wants to. Is there any way to punish that? Again, I don't think so. Knight d5, pawn takes. Just take any number of ways and not really gain much from it. I mean, it's a tactic, right? So it's not going to be something subtle like developing the bishop, or I don't know, maybe I'm getting high enough that the puzzles become a little more subtle, but I didn't think so. I really don't even have any candidate moves at the moment. Offer a trade of bishops, which opens up the rook on the queen, but black doesn't have to trade. Black can just drop the bishop back, and I don't really have a great follow-up after that. I want knight here to be something, but I don't think it is. I don't really gain anything by getting that knight out of the way. Nothing with the queen. Pawn push. Pawn takes, pawn up. I'm leaning towards d4. I think d4 is my best candidate move right now. Here, okay, let's start with pawn takes. Pawn takes, pawn up, queen here. I don't really have anything else great beyond that. Is there another response to pawn takes? I have no other way to hit the queen. Not that I necessarily have to. This one's stumping me. I'm tempted to just play d4 and say screw it, but it's kind of against the theme of these, I think. If pawn takes, white e5, queen runs, and then what? I gotta move the knight so I don't lose it. I mean, that might be it. That might be all I have at that point. Here, pawn takes, pawn up, queen. I don't think I gain much from that move. Pawn up here, here. All of these squares are actually covered, so maybe white has to drop back. If I come in and threaten checkmate, I don't think I'm getting anything. It feels kind of close, but just not quite close enough, because at the end of the day, if I do this and pawn takes, this knight is still threatened. I haven't even thought about it. Bishop takes. Knight takes here. And then I can throw in e5, because if queen takes would be losing. But I'm getting a push pawn in that scenario. I'm not seeing much better though. This is probably why I've never found this in a game either. Because I'm fairly confident that I've had this position before, or something very similar to it. All right, I'm sure this isn't that entertaining. 7 minutes on one. We're gonna try d4. It is d4. I might have to look at that. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what my response was gonna be to pawn takes. But my thought here was that I just take with the knight. And then push the pawn. And then I guess I win that pawn back when taking with the queen. I got it. I don't feel like I deserve that one. Let's go. Let's look at it real quick. Bishop here. All right, so it gives white d4. And it says bishop takes is the best move. What is my response to pawn takes? Still e5. Queen e7. So I was looking at queen g5, which it doesn't recommend. We'll play best move. And then... Okay, so I guess the point of this was that I was just winning the pawn. I think maybe my issue was that I was looking for something more severe instead of just winning a pawn. I think that's the first time I've ever had a puzzle where the goal was to win a pawn. All right, maybe one or two more. A few different checks here. We got queen. Rook sack probably doesn't get me a lot. So we'll look at queen f6 first. Queen f6, king d7. What am I gaining from that? I'm immediately already leaning towards either queen g5 or queen h4, just so my rook can take f7 if needed. All right, so let's go queen g5. And I guess we really just kind of need to go through all of black's possible moves here, because black can run to quite a few squares. Jeez. Okay, so queen g5. Obviously, if the black king goes here or here, we win the queen. So that's winning. We can roll those out. Queen d7, rook takes. King c8. And then I'm not loving it as much. If king e8, let's look at the back rank ones first. I'm kind of thinking that queen d7 is maybe black's best move there, but queen g5, king e8, queen g8 check, and then wherever king goes, rook. Okay, so I think queen e8 is losing because of that. And maybe this is going to be why queen h4 is best. Because here, if my queen was on h4, I would still have check. If it's on g5, I lose it because the king covers that. All right, so I'm thinking queen h4. Let's run through these again. Queen h4, pawn up, and we've got to just take. We'll look at that one later. King up to these squares, and black loses the queen. King back to either of these squares. Can't draw that one, but to there as well. Oh, that doesn't, because then the queen isn't hitting. You don't just have rook takes f7. Point being that on queen h4, king f8, queen h8, king back to e7. Oh, I do still have rook takes. It's a sack, but I am pulling black away from the queen. Okay, so that still works. So now I have two moves to look at, are these two responses. And as long as white is still winning after those two responses, queen h4 is the move. All right, so let's look at pawn pushes first. Queen h4, pawn push. Queen takes. If black goes here, it's mate. So on queen takes, only option is king d7. Queen f5, I don't love. Takes here. So maybe because of that, it's not takes. Do I want to check again? I don't think so. I think I run out of checks pretty quickly there, and black runs away. So here, pawn pushes f6. Queen takes f6. King d7. I could then go queen g7 check. But the king can run up. Because my thought was that if the king drops back, I can go rook f8 and win the queen. But the issue is that the king doesn't have to drop back. The king can run forward. Queen h4, pawn, queen takes, king d7. What am I missing there? This feels like it should be, I should have something. Rook takes feels slow. But maybe it's not bad. Black can check with the rook, but he runs out after a couple moves. Queen push. Queen takes, king d7. I'm not going to be able to remember all these. I just need to remember that they were winning, and then I'll have to find them again. Man. If I go check here, the king can run to either of these squares. Am I okay there? I don't think so. I don't think that's necessarily winning. So does it have to be rook takes f6? And then the king can run to all kinds of squares. I don't think I like that. All right, let's start here. Because it seems like a similar issue that I'm going to run into with just king d7 immediately anyways. Rook takes. King back. Don't love it. Here, here. King d7 seems to kind of just ruin the thought of queen h4. So is it supposed to be king g5, queen g5 then, to let me take here? That's feeling a lot more likely. But man, if I do that now, I got to run through all the scenarios again. We know that this is winning. If queen g5, king f8, still loses the queen. I didn't even completely miss that on queen h4. King run here. Queen g5, only options are here or here. That leads to losing the queen. So queen g5, it's the same options. On king d7 immediately, I do then have takes here with check. Pawn push. I don't know if that's necessarily great though. King d7, take the pawn, king runs back. Is there any other benefit? I mean, I have f5, check along this diagonal instead of g4, which then does at least still allow me to hit this pawn. But at least on g4 the rook could get in. Here, here. Queen covers that. King g5, queen d7. Takes. King has to run. I don't think I get much out of that. Out of winning another pawn. Trading doesn't seem great. No. Going back to queen f6 now. I kind of rolled this one out, but maybe it's more forcing. King has to go to d7 still. I no longer have taking here with check. take here. Man. That seems like a stretch. Try to push that pawn all the way. Is there anything with the sack? I really don't think so. Not gaining much there. Okay. Maybe there's something completely different. It's kind of just drawn to the checks, but maybe there's something more subtle. I got nothing. Here, here, here. King runs, check. Then I allow the trading because I was thinking maybe I could find a way to pin the queen to the king. But I'm not thinking that I have that. Here, by forcing the king to run up, am I gaining anything? King goes here, here. I don't think so. Here. Queen f5, king d6. I think black's probably better to run to c6. So queen f6 check, king d7, queen f5, king c6. And black's queen's able to block at that point. "13 minutes. That's what's killing me. What am I missing? Yeah, I'm winning a couple pawns there. Maybe that's it. But the queens are still on the board, so that's not an easy win. So even if I go here, black pushes f6 and I take, this is just an improved version of going queen f6 initially, because I at least win a pawn and end up in the same spot. Queen g5 at least gives me the option to take on d5. Takes. Okay, queen g5, king d7. Rook takes f7. King c8. I think that's the only option. So what's my response here? So in that scenario, I've got queen on g5, rook on f7, and then black's king is on c8. Queen e6 check then. Queen g5, king d7, rook takes f7, king c8, oh, I think I've got it. Queen g5, king d7, rook takes f7, and I'm pretty sure I've calculated every other move. This was the only one. So queen g5, king d7, rook takes f7, king c8, queen g4 check. Black doesn't have any good way to block. Wait, hold on. I thought I just had something else here. What was I thinking? Queen g5, king d7, rook f7. Here. Oh, and then queen f5 check. And then on king runs, rook goes here. 17 minutes, that's too long. I'm pretty sure this is it. Here. Here, yep. And then this. All right, 28.69. Pretty good number to end on. Hit our goal. I think I'm gonna call it there. We'll see if next time we can keep the streak going and get to 2,900. So I think we're probably nearing what my highest rating ever is. Let's go look. 28.69 right now. Puzzles. Nope, I've gotten to 2,900 before. So we'll keep going. I think the goal is definitely going to be to get to 3,000. Made some good progress today, but it's going to wrap it up for this one. See you guys in the next one.